All right, we are live. Showtime with Jordan Van Haslow and friends on Hot 702.5 FM, broadcasting out of Las Vegas, also streaming on MixLR. And I think that we're live on the Facebook Live as well. And someone's hooking up a watch party for me. I don't quite know what that is because I'm such a loser when it comes to the is it like all going on? Or did I need to open up a thing? It's so horrible. I'm so bad with this oh, there we go. Is that live? Is it working? Awesome, we're on. Yay, well welcome to the show. We have a lot to talk about. Today is all going to be about my favorite award show in the world, the Oscars and other hot topics, and I have one of my favorite people in the world joining me today. Dun 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 dun. HRH Princess Diandra. Princess, how are you, darling?
Oh, wonderful. I'm so excited as well. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my
And
goodness. Of course.
I'm ready to chat.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can I tell you, you're one of my favorite people in the world. And it's so funny because, I lived in New York full time for a really, really long time. And I think about the fact that we have a lot of friends in common, but it's so weird
Mm-hmm.
that you and I actually never met until I was living in
Until
Los
LA.
Angeles and you came out to
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
I say that a lot because like New York is like a global village.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
there are like three, four queens that like I can't stand. And it's funny how we are in the same circles.
Uh huh.
We probably work similar gigs, and I never see those bitches. Like, I see them every 5 years, every 7 years, and I'm happy. I really don't really hate them. But I didn't get along with them a long time ago, and I just kind of hold a grudge. Like, don't be nice to me now. You were nice in the 90s, and you can just go over there.
Totally.
But I think it's funny how you can navigate through life and you just never see certain people ever. And
Never.
we probably could be like a block away from each other or like a bar away from each other, but it's like, it's fortuitous that we never see each other,
Well,
I
it's
think.
totally, and it's so funny. So I went to this arts high school in Chicago, and I have a friend. His name is Lindsey Jones, and he actually moved to New York long before I moved to New York because he went to college in New York, and I was like off, doing a tour. And I always lived, I think because he went to MSM, Manhattan School of Music, and he always lived on the Upper West Side. And once I moved to New York and I got married, I lived on the Upper East Side and we never saw each other. And then when I got the job with Sony and moved to LA and I posted on, goodbye New York, he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe we've lived in New York for all these years and we never saw each other." And now he lives in LA and I think he lives in Hollywood, not too far from where I lived. And now I'm in Vegas and
Wow.
I still haven't, I haven't seen this kid since I think I graduated high school. Yet we've always lived
Wow.
literally a half a mile away from each other. It's just the way that it is. It's just the way, I guess it's just
The
the way that
way
it is.
that it is.
Although it's so weird with New York now because I feel like everyone is moving to LA. Like every time I open up my Facebook, there's like someone else who's, "Oh, I'm in LA now. Oh, I'm moving." It's like you're like the only person, like you're the one who's watching The Island.
Well, unless they give me that sitcom and 3 year deal, I ain't going up there.
So
It doesn't work for me. God bless you, LA, but that doesn't work for me.
so before we get into like the nitty gritty, I want to introduce you to the audience. For those who don't know, HRH Princess Diandra. You're like, oh, I think of you as old school New York. You're a drag queen in New York and you've been around since like the club kid day. Is that horrible to talk about the club kids? I know people have like
Hmm. I
people I
was
know,
never one of them, but I kind
but
of
those,
navigated in and out of that scene. But I
yeah.
never was an official club kid. But I was in New York in the, I don't know, that would be the later 80s, it's after five. We were kind of the first group of drag queens that made drag respectable. Like, I remember before I became a drag queen, it was like, "Oh, she's a drag queen." Oof. And it would be the mumbles. And then once I got to know drag queens, I'm like, "Oh, well, that's so horrible. What's the shade about?" So then when I became a drag queen, it was Connie Girl and Glamour and Shannon and a few others.
Yeah.
And then we just became these, like, we ruled New York City. And it was just a handful. Lady Bunny came around that time. And it was just us, like, ruling the city for quite a while. Until that RuPaul reared her head and became famous. And it was like somebody poured water on gremlins. And there they were. Hesitant bitches everywhere. Well, you know, it was another horrible drag queen.
So,
But we just were like the corners. There were like literally like 10 to 12 of us that were like working in the scene throughout the city. Until, you know, that supermodel came out.
well, so can we talk about that? Because, okay, I've never met Ru. I've never met RuPaul. And I always thought, because again, I've never been a drag queen, and I've really never been like a part of that circle, like that world, you know what I mean? Like I never like hung out, like I never hung out at Lucky Chang's or all of that. So I've always been it's always been like on the periphery for me. But I remember in like the early 90s when RuPaul kind of became RuPaul, because I was young then, but I remember like supermodel of the West Shante, and like all of a sudden,
Yeah. I was young then too. Probably older than you, but still young. Go on.
but I remember when like he became it, and then he had like his VH1 show, and then he like disappeared, and now he's like created this like cottage industry. And what is because I've talked to certain people, and there's people who think it's like wonderful because he's like made drag mainstream, but then there's other people who are like, oh my god, no one liked that bitch back then, and now like what is your take?
I don't have anything against RuPaul. Like, we were very, very good friends, like, but then I haven't spoken to her in 20 some odd years. But I had a friendship with her. She's been to my home. I let her copy all of my Diana Ross tapes because she also has this infatuation with Diana Ross. And even more than me, because I'll call
is that possible?
Behavior. She ain't Jesus Christ to me. She's a woman with many, many flaws in the 20s. I was never one of those glassy-eyed fans. I saw the shade. I was on the receiving end of the shade.
What do you call it? You always post about her, but you don't call
her Frosty.
Frosty.
She's not warm and fuzzy. She's very cold and bitchy.
I always think when you see her, because like she does like the and I think she's so fucking amazing. But like you see her and like she has like in Connecticut, and she has like her Christmas photos with all of her children. And I remember like when Oprah was leaving and she came on Oprah and like the kids did the thing. I always picture her like beating the kids, like, okay, you better do this or I'm going to kill you. And I think she's amazing.
I would imagine that I imagine that the children don't see, or at least they must have seen it. But I mean, I don't think that frostiness is reserved for the children. I think the children get the warm, incredible side of her because they've all turned out so incredible, without scandal, without show. So that's a testament.
That's a very valid point. Like, none of them have drug problems. None of them have.
Well, I heard. Oh.
But publicly, like you didn't hear. Oh, Diana Ross's kid was like picked up on a DUI.
Well, one of them had a little problem, but it was fixed. It was only hearsay. I never got high with the child, so I don't know. I'm not spreading those gossip.
What happens? What happens in Greenwich?
One of the kids got a little wayward, and they honed them in.
What happens in Greenwich stays in Greenwich. That's what
I said. Or L.A. or New York or wherever they were scoring.
Okay, well, so since we're on this subject, for those of our audience that don't know, I want to talk a little bit about Pokegate. So those of you in our audience, you may not know HRH Princess Diandra. You're not from New York. You haven't been around the scene for a very long time, but if you go back about a year, we're almost at the 1 year anniversary.
It's
actually.
almost a year ago.
Almost
Oh
a
my
year
God.
ago. And
It's
everyone was
anniversary.
talking about it. Like it was Wendy was a hot topic. E.T. was talking about it. Everyone was talking about it. There was this crazy fan who decided was at like it was for Chic, right? It was like Chic was
It
performing.
was
Like
the opening of that hotel. I don't even remember the name of it now.
but it was a
It was
reopening
the
for a
East End
hotel, and Chic was performing, and then they said, "Hey,
performed.
we have a special guest," and all of a sudden you hear, "I'm coming out," and some crazy individual decided to poke Diana Ross on her side. Who is that individual?
It was me. I didn't do it out of malice. Like, it was a situation. I stumbled into a green room. There was tons of champagne.
Okay.
And they were doing photo shoots and whatever. Because, they had hired all of those supermodels. And I kind of knew one or two were there. And I don't really know the real young ones. They're not the supermodels from my day. But that one of those Hadid sisters was perched. And that other one, I don't know her name. And I kind of looked at them like, oh, it's you. I don't really care. But it was a table full of champagne.
Okay.
So I kept going to the green room to get champagne, and I just said, I'm just going to take a bottle. So I'll have to come back. They said nothing. So I went back to get a second bottle. They said nothing. The third bottle I was sharing, but I guess it really got me. So by the time I ran into a friend, and by the time, I heard those chords of I'm coming out, I barreled to the front of the stage like a crazed lunatic. And then there she was. And I swear I reverted back to my 5-year-old self. Oh my God, it's Diana. I've always loved Diana. Like always. I can't remember not loving her.
Yeah.
Not. My mother even tells a story of how I was crawling on the floor and she came on the TV and I stopped. And then I cried like for hours and hours after she left. So it's innate. It's there.
So your coming out story was clearly no surprise to anybody.
She was in a zone. She was looking. I'm screaming. I just wanted her to touch my hand, something. She said, "No, Sissy, not today." And she's just looking forward in her zone. And I was like, "Hey, Frosty." So, and she came out of her thing for a second. And she kind of swung at me to hit me. I wish she really would have hit me because he would have slapped me out of my kind of face there. And then I just kind of stepped back like, oh my God, I poked her. I kind of like that was crossing a line. I felt that. And then 1098, security said, "Excuse me, sir. Could you please come with us?" Just like that. Polite. Two big, beautiful black guys. Oh, that could have been like a gangbang porno. They were beautiful.
But
and I was like, I'll step back. I won't touch her again. And I said, no, it's okay. Just come with us. And they were just talking to me like I was their friend. They didn't even take my champagne out of my hand. I finished it, mind you. And they're just talking with me, and before I knew it, I was on the street. I said, well, I heard something. They just threw my ass off. It was the smoothest, most polite ejection I've ever had.
That's how you know.
I've had a few.
That's how it should be. Because, like you see like the rappers and they have like their big burly like thugs who are like beating down folks. But like divas and stars, I will never forget the one. Go for
my
it.
sister said the same thing. Like, you better be lucky they had that caliber of security. Because if it would have been those thugged out jail Negroes, I will say Negroes, they would have beat the shit out of you.
But that's how you know like a true diva. I remember once upon a time in New York, I was leaving Lord and Taylor. God, I miss Lord and Taylor. It was my favorite department store, but that's another show. But I was leaving and like I was talking to my friend and pushing the door open. I was really slow in it because I was like in my conversation. All of a sudden a person says, "Excuse me, sir." And he just gently touched my shoulder and I moved over and I was like, "Okay, thank you." And then he walks out and then another person walks out and all of a sudden I realized Bill Clinton was behind me. And I was like, oh my God, that was like the coolest security in the world because he probably knows how to kill me with just like one finger on like a person, like a part of my neck. And I was like, that's so much like more intimidating and fabulous than some big fat no neck bruiser. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's how you know she's a diva. I love that. But
Well, I don't know if that was her security or the hotel security, but yeah, they get a commendation from me. That was commendable.
I think
was like,
that's
wow.
wonderful, especially because you've been doing her forever, right? Like she's like your
Forever. Yeah.
wow.
I mean, that's how I kind of got my start, and I got to travel. I've been to 5 continents and Japan 15 times. And
Oh
one
wow.
time I was hired to promote her concerts in Japan, which she didn't want to promote, and I guess they weren't selling well. So I was running around, going to malls and doing stuff, and it was fun.
So
And
now
it was
so
lucrative.
we have to
And
figure out how to create like a sit down between the two of you.
she don't want to meet me.
Well, no, everything is possible.
I think I crossed the line too much with her. And she's
Deandra,
like,
everything
you
is
over there.
possible. You just have to create the right value proposition. If you create
Okay.
the right value
I'll
proposition, we can
you know,
make
I'll
it
be
happen.
optimistic, but in my heart, I'm like, that ship has sailed. And I even have I've seen her at her best. So I don't have to see her be old and thrown in the van and, wearing those old dresses and just standing there posing, singing or not reading her, because I think it's wonderful that she could still get up and do that at her age. But it's like, I've seen it.
Well,
This
you know,
isn't bringing
I'm
me
gonna
anymore.
work on it. Now that I'm here in LA
All right.
doing my musical residency, she keeps coming back to the win. I'm gonna work on it. You say this, I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it. And I'm gonna work on trying to make it happen here at Hot 702.5 FM. I'm gonna make it I'm gonna work on it. I promise you, I'm gonna
All
work
right.
on it really, really
You
hard.
do
So
that.
when I call you and say you have to be in Vegas on Tuesday, you're gonna be like, "What?" I'm like, "Listen, you got to be here." So Deandra, did you watch the Oscars?
Of course I watched the Oscars. Any queen worth their salt is going to watch the Oscars. And, I got to say this. They're not as exciting as they usually are to me.
Well,
It's like, as you get older, I don't go to the movies anymore. I don't see those damn movies.
I think it's a couple of things. I think it's about not going to the movies, but I also think that we are now at this place, because I was thinking this yesterday, where it's like, and we talked about this last week about what does it mean to be famous anymore? Because like stupid children, I shouldn't say that, but stupid children, they're not listening to this. They like once upon a time, there were 3 television networks, and there were, your AMC movie theater. And if if there was a movie out, everyone knew about that movie, and everyone, even if they didn't go see the movie, they knew about it and they knew who was in it. But now there's like the YouTube and the this and the that and the that. And it's so like half of the people, like, did you notice last night there were like 3 or 4 times where like they'd come back from commercial and some random young person, like there was a guy from I think Hamilton or something, and they like would introduce themselves. It was like, "Hi, I'm Jordan von Haslow." So movies today, and I was just like, oh my God, this is the Oscars. We should all know who everyone is. And I think that that's the biggest thing, that we're in such a fractured society now that like, it doesn't mean the same thing. And it really hurts my soul.
But I have to say, I had it all with the intention of like doing what I needed to do around here and just having a lot of background noise. But Janelle Monáe's opening was so good.
Oh yeah,
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, wow. And then there were moments, and then I was watching that pre-show, and Billy Porter and Cameron Hall and that one, and I'm just like, no. What? No.
So I have some serious thoughts about Billy Porter. I really do.
I would preface this with Billy Porter. Billy Porter is really talented. I've known of Billy Porter for like that 20 years because I'm a kind of a theater lover, and I've seen him around and things, and it's literally 20 years ago he was in Dreamgirls in concert.
I remember that with Brand. Do you know
I'm a rabid Dreamgirls person. I've seen it 1,000 times. I knew Cheryl Lee Ralph. I could do the show frontwards and backwards.
That was the one with. Do you know Brandy Siobhan Massey? Do you know Brandy Massey? She was in Wicked Forever. Black girl. She was in Wicked Forever. She was. I think she initially was Idina Menzel's understudy, and then she just did it forever. But I think she was in that cast with him. Never.
Well, in Dreamgirls in concert, he was James Thunder Early.
Yeah.
I never made the connection, but I listen to Dreamgirls in concert every so often, a lot, and I put it on and also my commute to work. I was like, it sounds an awful lot like Billy Porter. And then I kind of looked, I'm like, oh my God, that was Billy Porter. God, I really love him now. And then when he was in this interview with the Tamron Hall saying he was masculine enough to get jobs, I was like, well, you sure the hell pulled that off. And all the while that I'm knowing him, I never saw this queenie side of him. Like, the flamboyance and, this. He reminds me of early Lady Gaga. Like, he's really talented as she is. But with her, I could not get past what's hideous Dootsies. Dootsies mean costumes or look.
Totally. And that's my issue.
I couldn't get past the Dootsies. And the minute I remember the first time I saw her staying with Tony Bennett, and she was doing this faux Liza impersonation.
Oh my God.
Like she had on like a dolman sleeve dress, shorter hair, and she was singing with Tony Bennett, and it was pure genius. I'm like, this bitch is talented. She really needs to put those Dixies away and just be who she is.
And that's my thing with him.
But I kind of get that they want you to look at them first. And maybe he'll get the scientist system. Maybe he's having a midlife crisis. But all I would say, and I will leave this alone because I see the people reading him, and I can't read him. I hate 90% of the things that he wears. I'm sorry, I just do. But he was recently styled for British Vogue by my friend Michael Leandros, and I wrote to Michael and said, "You did this. Can you please be his personal stylist from this moment on?" And he kind of laughed, like, "It's not outside of my hands. This is a one-off. Perhaps, maybe he'll come back." I'm like, but no, he looks queenie and edgy enough that you get the point that he's all in silver. You got to catch this.
No, here's my issue with Billy Porter, and I've been a Billy Porter fan, I think, longer than you, because I've been following his career since he did Grease. And that was like the Grease. Oh. Remember the Grease, like with like when Rosie O'Donnell came in, and I think Debbie Gibson.
I totally do.
It's like the early 90s.
I had no interest to see that.
But he was.
But I remember.
So he was the teenager, beauty school dropout, and they like turned it into this amazing gospel number for him, and he was doing all that crap, and it was like, oh my God, this man is amazing. And I followed him, and then he did that movie. What was it called? Broken Hearts Club. Remember the movie with the guy from Frasier? He did that, and like I was following him on Broadway, like, and he like never, like it never clicked for him because he is a queen, like, and so he like I could see why he had challenges. I could see why he might have had challenges, particularly through the 90s, getting work, and then I remember like. There was a whole article about him. He did an interview with New York Times right after he got what's it called, with the kinky boots, about how like he couldn't find work and he was like on the verge of, or he might have been homeless, and then he like got the job and that like kickstarted his career. So I've been rooting for him forever. And here's my thing about him. I think that he's like probably one of the most talented people who have ever come across the stage.
Talented.
He's one of the most talented people in the world. Talent. And there was another article, I think it was after he did that first thing. I don't know which award show it was, that first time when he like was wearing like the black, I don't know if it was Dolce & Gabbana, but he was wearing like the black skirt with the tuxedo jacket and this, that, and the other.
I think that was Christian Siriano, and he was copy and who I think did it better, Hector Extravaganza. He totally stole the look of Hector Extravaganza.
Well, and we can
Like the
talk about
jacket
Christian
and the ball
Siriano. I have
skirt.
thoughts about that too. But they asked him about it, and he talked about. So, do you remember when Idina Menzel sang "Let It Go" on the Oscars a few years ago, and John Travolta totally like mispronounced her name.
Adele Dazeem.
Yeah. And he said, "Oh my God, I saw that, and I realized, oh my God, this just totally took Broadway to a new level because it just introduced this woman to the entire world, and it introduced Broadway to the entire world." And he's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be on the red carpet. I can do that same thing." So he dressed the way he dressed, and now he keeps on doing it. And my issue with it is that I mean, I don't know him. Sort of like you, like we sort of run in similar circles, but I've never met him. But I don't feel like he dresses that way normally. I feel like it's just for the award shows and such. And my thing is,
well, he goes on talk shows now a little bit more flamboyant than before. Like something just clicked. Like I could do this.
No, I think it's just. I think
a good time doing it, like a person in a midlife crisis.
Like a person with a midlife crisis. I think, here's my thing. He's very talented. He's one of the most talented people who've ever walked in this world. And my thing is, people who make spectacles of themselves usually make spectacles of themselves to hide the fact that they have no talent. And what I think is, I think that he's going to ruin his legacy because he could go down as someone who is black and gay and talented and hits all types of things. And now he's going to go down. And I feel like his legacy is going to be like, he's going to be like the Black Paul Lynde. No one's going to remember the fact that he can sing or that he could act or that he did whatever. It's just going to be like, oh, there was this like black gay guy who used to wear skirts to the
maybe he'll ride this out, and then once you know him, he'll calm down and get out of the system, we hope, and then he'll just shine without all of that.
Well, that he needs to because he's so talented, and I think that that's just, again, if he weren't talented, I'd say go with God because you need to do something to get into the press. But I think he's so talented that I think that it clouds his it overshadows his talent, and we have enough people who are like famous for being famous and famous for just making spectacles of themselves.
Back in the day, that same thing happened with LaBelle. LaBelle had that crazy look so that you could notice them, and then once they hit, and then they started making really serious music, they were ignored.
But he's hit. He's singing on the Oscars now. He's standing up and making, like, he's taking over the Tony Awards now. Like, he's hit. So now it's time to, it's like, I was thinking about this. I was having a conversation with my friend Dante about this. It's like RuPaul's the same way. So RuPaul's this fabulous drag queen and he's always like, blah. And then when you see RuPaul not in drag when he's on a,
nobody wants that.
But he's always like in like neon
Saturday
suits
Night
and stuff.
Live was very it had its moment.
But I think
had its moment.
I think that like
did you watch Saturday Night Live?
Wait, did I watch what?
Saturday Night Live on Saturday with RuPaul.
No, I didn't watch it.
That was pretty historical. How could you have missed that?
I'll watch it on the. I watched that. Now I'm mad. You should have told me to watch it so we could talk about it. Damn you!
You know what? I did not realize that I heard she was on it, and I rushed to watch it. I should have. I'm sorry.
You should have.
I just assumed. I assumed you would. I just figured every queen in the world watched.
I'm not into. Listen, I'm not into the drag race thing. I'm not into. I've never. Can I tell you? Like, for example, like, do you know? I lived in New York forever, and I have actually never been to Lucky Chains. Ever.
It's okay.
Ever. Like, I never.
There's a whole lot of other things to do in New York City. I understand.
And I've just never been. And so, like, I just was never like the drag. Like, it's kind of like, okay, I'm a cabaret singer, right? And I sing in clubs and cabaret clubs and stuff. And just like, there's people who just are never like, oh my God, let me go down to the Cafe Carlisle and listen to music. I just never got into the drag thing, except for, so the only time I was ever immersed in the RuPaul's Drag Race was right before I got divorced. So like right before we filed, but when things were getting awful. was living in New York with my ex-husband, and I was like, I got to get out of here. And so I flew to Chicago, and I stayed in my friend's guest room for like half a summer, and he was obsessed. This is like 10 years ago. He was obsessed with RuPaul's Drag Race. And I'm living in his guest room, so of course, like, I'm the guest, and like my marriage is falling apart, so I have nowhere to go, so of course I have to like do whatever he wants to do. And he would not only just watch it, but he would like just put on, he recorded it, and like, so I would just watch. I saw so much of it. And now I don't remember where I was going with that story, because there was a point to why I brought that up. God damn it.
About not being into drag, that's why you didn't watch RuPaul on...
Right, but why did we even... Oh, I didn't watch... Yeah, so I never like... So I guess what I'm saying is like RuPaul's not on my... There's lots of queens who are like, oh my God, RuPaul, but it's like he's not on my radar. Like, oh my God, RuPaul's on, I need to watch him. Oh, but what I was saying is like, so when RuPaul's out of drag, he wears like orange suits and polka dot suits and all that, and it's like,
and they look too small.
Yeah, and it's like,
no,
you should be. RuPaul should be like in the most, like when RuPaul is not in drag, he should be in the most tailored Tom Ford fuck you suit in the world. That's that, and I feel the same way about Billy Porter. Like, you're a star now, you're in a hit TV show, everyone knows who you are, so you should not be, look at me, you should be so, like, you should look like a star, not a spectacle.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel about that. That's how, I don't know.
That was nice without ripping her a new one.
Well, because
some of the comments, I just go, I'm not going to read her, because it's funny when you hear it in an interview, and not only is, he's talented, he's pretty smart, and he says the most amazing things in an interview, like honest, like really honest, not the bullshit press release stuff.
Total, and he's built an empire. He's built an empire.
And I'm just like, yeah, but then why do you have to look like such a spectacle then?
And that's all my thought. So who was your favorite of last night? Like, of all the
folks hands down, Miss James Fonda, honey.
Isn't she wonderful?
She rolls her 82-year-old ass up there in a gray hat and a doopsie she wore like 6 years ago. I know that dress. How do I know that dress? Does someone else wear that dress? Does she wear that dress? And I'm running around today, and I see someone said she wore that dress to the Cannes Film Festival in 2014. With photo. And I went, ooh, you still get a pass. You still get a pass.
She's fabulous.
That was the highlight of the awards for me. I'm sorry. Like, she came out, and I love the two, Chris Rock and Steve Martin.
I liked them as well.
I like the Saturday Night Live girl, but the Maya Rudolph, like, her look is kind of hideous. I was like, girl.
Can I tell you that whole thing, the Maya Rudolph and Kristen Wiig? I felt like they were the poor man's Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Remember when they used to host the Golden Globes?
Well, it's all the same family, the same game.
No, it was bad. And then that singing thing they did, I felt like I was in some cabaret room in Hell's Kitchen. Sorry, that was not Oscars worthy. And I don't mean to be, but it was not Oscars worthy. That was silly stuff that you do in a little bar. I really didn't like that. I really didn't like that. And I'm actually upset.
Well, we can disagree, but I was living for it. I was. Because to me, it was just ho-hum. And then it was the typical winners. But what I did love, the fact that Parasite did so well. So I'm going, well, Oscars isn't so white after all.
Right.
Because Asian people ain't white.
No,
I know those Koreans bleach to the heavens, but still, bleach all you want, girl.
And they do all of their business in the black neighborhoods.
Oh.
Oh. Well.
No, you can now. And they make great food. Korean barbecue is
Oh my
shit.
God, I
Oof.
haven't had Korean, but now I want to go back to LA and go to Korean barbecue. I haven't had Korean
Oh
barbecue
my
in a
God.
minute.
Oh, yeah. I think I met you at the Korean barbecue restaurant.
Oh my God, that's right. Wait, because yeah, that's
It
right.
was the birthday of him. I forget the name. We were in that restaurant
Yeah,
in LA.
yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Well, so I'm glad that they won. So did you watch any of the movies this year? Because I didn't watch a lot of them. I saw Judy. I saw
I
Once
told
Upon a
you,
Time.
I didn't. Embarrassingly, I think I saw maybe one, two tops, and I never could get through Judy because I kept being distracted. And now I'm going to sit back and realize because I'm a huge Judy Garland fan.
Oh my
And when
goodness.
I was about 11 to 15, maybe. I read every biography. I've seen every movie, that TV series of hers in the early 60s. Bends me to no end.
Wait, we have like a
And,
call in or something. Hold on. I don't know how to do
oh,
this. I've never done this before, but it's from Los
caller,
Angeles.
would you like to ask a
Right? Hold
question?
on. Let's see. Hello.
Hi, I just wanted to talk to you about Guinan on Star Trek coming up.
Oh my goodness, it's Chris Garcia. Are you on the phone still? Deandra? I don't know how to work this. I don't know if I can do this multiple calls. I think I can only swap between the two. How are you, Chris Garcia?
I'm fine, but did you like the Oscars last night or
I
no?
I adored the Oscars last night, but hold on. I'm gonna see if I can get you
Fabulous.
both on the phone at the same time. Hold on. Oh my goodness, Deandra.
Yes,
All
cut
right,
me
so
off.
let's talk about this. Well, no, I didn't. So, like, someone was calling in, and it turns out it's Chris Garcia of the Magic Castle in Los Angeles. But I don't know if I can get you both on the phone at the same time. So, hold on.
Uh,
We're going to do this. Wait, we're going
okay.
to do this.
All right.
Jesus?
Hello.
Chris Garcia, apparently there's no way to put you both on the phone at the same time. So, I'm going to talk to you for a second, and then I'm going to go back to Deandra. What did you ask me, darling?
Fabulous. So why are you giving so much tea to Miss Maya Rudolph and them? I mean, of course that's
Because it
their
wasn't
shtick.
funny. I thought it was cute, but it wasn't. It wasn't Oscar worthy. Like I said, it's like something that you like do on like a in like a cabaret room. But I just said I didn't
I
think
think
it
it
was
was like a nice
hilarious.
throwback, though. Like, I
Oh,
mean, at least.
okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Well, I mean,
I'm not
just
going to
because,
complain.
as you've already admitted, like, I mean, with the whole Golden Globes, like, I mean, yeah, so they did that already, and that's their whole thing. But I think that they specifically were on point, and they were actually very funny. And it's actually the most funny that I've actually seen Maya Rudolph in a very long time,
Oh, see, now
especially
the
considering her
shade
whole
comes out.
detergent commercial.
Now the
But
shade
other than
comes
that,
out.
but
Yeah.
can't you, like, not agree?
No,
Do you not agree?
I told you how I felt about it. I gave you exactly what I think about it, and whatever. But I miss you, my darling.
Well,
I can't wait to see you
I miss
again.
you
You have to
too.
come out to
I know.
Vegas.
When are you going to be back in Los Angeles?
Probably in a couple of weeks. I need to check my mail.
No.
Oh my God,
All right, honey.
Chrissy, I
All right.
love you. Let me go back to Deandra. I'll call you later.
Okay.
All right, bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Deandra.
Yes.
Okay, that's so funny. Chris, my friend. I don't know if you met Chris when you came out to Los Angeles. Chris is he works for the founder, the creator of the Magic Castle, and he just called in. But I don't know how to, like this is only my second show, and I don't know how to work all of these like buttons. You should see what I'm looking at. It's like so scary. It's like, and I don't know how to like pull two people into the call together. So I had to keep going back and forth. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay, so you spoke with him for a second because my niece, hi Chanel, she just texted me. Oh my God, I can hear you. I'm glad you
Chanel.
tuned in.
Hi, Chanel. But yeah, so that was those are my thoughts about that. I agree with you that Jane Fonda was amazing. I remember she was on Bill Maher like last season, and he like in the middle of their interview, he like stopped and said, "Listen, I just gotta stop." and tell you that you are the sexiest old lady I've ever met in my entire life.
Like whenever I see those ones with the busted surgeries, like Madudu,
No.
I'm like, call Jane Fonda, girl, get that number, smooth her.
You said like who?
You are going Madudu. I call her Madudu, Madonna.
Oh,
Madudu.
Oh, Madonna. Oh, God. This is like a whole nother hour. We could do an hour on Madonna. You don't
It's a whole
understand.
other 3 hours. Let's move away from that.
Oh, God.
Move away from that. Not on my first outing. Let's move away from that. Put that bitch in the back of the bus. The high rosa.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You know who I didn't like in terms of outfits? That kid. Timothy Chalamet. You know, the one who was in that movie last year, like Call Me by My Name, the one who was like in the movie where he was like a kid who was like
No, honey. Billie Eilish. I don't care if that was Chanel. They made you. I'm like, did you pick that out, or did they say, here, wear this, be edgy? I'm like, no, bitch, you wear that. I wouldn't wear that to take out the trash. It's just amazing to me when you have such a huge platform, and the eyes of the world are going to look at you, and yet you choose the most ludicrous, most hideous thing to wear ever. Like, you are going to let them have it.
And I'm telling you,
this huge.
it's a
It
generational
baffles
thing.
my mind. You get a team, they show up hours early, put you in that, and you look in the mirror and go, yes, I'm going to let them have it.
I'm telling you, it's a generational thing. Like, there's no respect for it anymore. No one gets it. Like, this new generation, they don't get it. It's like a total generational. I just watched this. I don't know. Do you have the Hulu? Hulu?
I had it, and I didn't use it a lot.
So there's this new documentary on Hulu, and I just watched it last night. It's called Jawline. And it's about these kids who are all Instagram influencers. And it's like there's one kid who's like trying to like really up his game and like really start making it as an influencer. And then it's about the other characters, like this manager who manages all of these big influencers, and just watching them. And it's like, oh my goodness, it's more than a generational divide. Like people who are, 27 and younger truly live in a different world. And everything that we knew and were grow up and were fed about like what it means to be a celebrity is a completely different thing than what they're looking for. And so like a Billie Eilish, you see, I don't even know her name. Eilish, like it's what she wants.
I think it's Eilish.
She doesn't, like, it's a totally different world. Like when I grew up, right, like I went to theater school and all that crap. I grew up, and you're supposed to move to New York, do theater, get on Broadway, move to LA, get on TV, do some movies, get an Oscar and become a star.
And be a star in the process?
Yes. But now it's like, okay, just be famous to be famous, whether or not you like sing, dance, act, juggle, whatever you do, just be famous.
I have 2 million followers. I'm famous.
And that's all that it's about. But what was really interesting about this, it was really fascinating because, like I always look at these people and it's like,
why do they call it Jawline? What is the
I think it's because it's just like, because they never actually explained it, and I read a few reviews trying to find it. I think it's just because it's all these guys, these like boys, like, and they all look the same, and like they all have like really strong jaws and really high cheekbones, and like they all look the same and have the same little like half pompadour and like the fade on the side. It's really interesting.
So it was only boys in this documentary.
It was only boys in this documentary. And what's really interesting,
and it sounds like only white boys.
Only white boys. Well, what have you met? How many black influencers have you met, or Latino influencers have you met? When I think of them all, they're all white. Exactly. So, but what was really interesting is that what this documentary did, and the woman, her name was Liza, I can't remember what her last name was, but she did a really good job, and she actually won She won a prize at Sundance for the movie, for like rising director or rising filmmaker or something. But what was really fascinating was for the first time, like I understood what this whole thing was about. And so it's like all these kids being famous, but then they showed and interviewed the girls who love them, because like they do tours and show up at theaters, and it's like when I was a kid and like the New Kids on the Block would perform and the girls were like, "Wah!" But they don't do anything. Like they literally just stand up on stage and like spray silly string and like take pictures and take selfies with everyone. But all of the girls were like losers, like they're all the girls who like have braces and are fat and are ugly and are like, oh my God, I get bullied. And oh my God, I got cut myself. And what they've created with this whole social media thing is like their own microcosm of high school, because in their own high school or junior high school, they're the losers. But, and there's the cute popular guy who would never talk to them and probably kicks them and talks about them, makes fun of them. But they follow these social media stars, and these social media stars basically talk directly to them and tell them that they're wonderful and that they're pretty, and they'll like direct message them. And it's all about, it really broke my heart. It really broke my heart and made me realize, wow, kids today.
Yeah,
suck.
but I sure wish I could do that to all of those.
Right.
You look great. I'm selling this. Why don't you buy 3 of them?
Exactly.
Oh,
well, like the one kid, he did like a meet and greet in the mall, and the kids came. But then you saw how like in show business, like you're in show business, we're in show business, we're all whores at the end of the day. Because he did a meet and greet, and like 10 girls showed up, and they're like just walking through the mall, and then there was this like mechanical donkey. And the girl goes, get on it and ride on it. And he was like, no, I don't think so. And she handed him a $5 bill and said, get on it. And he got on it and took the $5 bill.
Oh.
So everything old is new again. Oh my God, you have to watch it. You have to watch it. You have to check it out.
I will. I'll look at that.
Yeah. So what else is going on? What else have you been looking at, or what else have you been seeing that you've been like, oh my goodness, this is like getting under my craw?
Where's my notes?
So silly.
I lost my train of thought. There was something that I wanted to address about the Oscars that I noticed, and I was like, so please explain to me, back to the Oscars, because maybe you'll know the answer to this. What was the point of Eminem coming out?
Oh my God, let's talk about that. I don't know. That was, that was stupid. I feel like, okay, can we talk about this? I don't like there not being a host at the Oscars. Last year, I thought it was good. I thought it was good last year because it was like fresh and new and something different. But can I tell you, Kevin Hart ruined it for the world. All he had to do was apologize. All he had to do was apologize.
You know what? I'm a non-PC person. And I think people evolve. And I just really hate the fact that you cracked a joke 10 years ago. You have a new perspective on life. And your best friend could be gay in 10 years. You could have had a gay affair or 3 in 10 years. Like, you just can't take to heart what someone says, not heart.
But now,
what someone says 10 years ago. And I just think the gay people are the biggest offenders of this, because if you ever are around any group of gay people, they bash everything and everyone. It's just a given. Then when you say one disparaging thing about some sissy, they are heartbroken, they can't breathe. What do you mean? Oh my God, that's awful. I'm like, sissy, you could take a dick in the ass, take a joke. Stop the bullshit. And it makes me scream, like whenever and he said this, and what do you say? What kind of shit do you say on a regular?
No, I understand. But my thing is, all he had to do
is ruining America.
All he had to do All he had to do was say, "I'm sorry," and we could have moved on. Because again, I don't think he needed to apologize.
Okay,
But the
he'll
fact,
say, I'm sorry now. What will they ask him to do the next time and the next
yeah,
time?
but
Like,
guess
you
what?
gotta
That's
stand
the
in
world
your
that we live in
conviction.
now. It's like, you know what? I'd love to
Ugh.
carry my moisturizer onto the plane, but thanks to Al Qaeda, since 2001, I can't do it. This is the world we live in. I want to host the Oscars, so
Oh, honey,
okay,
you should
I'm
have.
sorry.
You should have saw the shows I used to do on airplanes before 9/11. Would not dream of doing any of that today.
Oh my God, can we talk about how sucky flying is now? Because I can fly. Thank goodness for the last I want to say 3 weeks. For the last 3 weeks, I've actually been here in Las Vegas, but for most of last year, I was like on a plane for like twice a week, and I miss flying.
Wow.
Like I remember being like a kid, like, and because I grew up in Chicago, and like my mother's family lived in St.
Being
Louis.
excited to fly and dressing up.
Yeah, and you
going-
basically drove up to the plane.
I never kind of just like the whole process of doing all that stuff. Like I want to roll up on my plane, like I roll up to the train to go to. Like I want to go get up on it and get moving. Like that whole process of going all those hours early and the shoes and the shows. It's so annoying.
No, totally, and it's like now it
And
sucks.
I'm
It's like
if
worse.
someone really wanted to do damage to this plane, they would learn how to make something with spit. You take my water, take my cologne, take my salad dressing that I make myself that's happened to me many times. Take it all. But if I wanted to blow this bitch up, I would make that device and I would sit there and spit in it and it would go kaboom. Sorry. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it's awful, and I just
As you say, it's the world we live in.
it's the world we live in,
And what do we do?
and that's my thing about the Kevin Hart. It's like, you know what? It's the world we live in. Everyone's very sensitive. Everyone, you know, is like you have to.
Well, maybe
certain
that was a
feeling.
lesson that he learned, and he had to step away from it.
But thanks
go,
to him, now we have a hostless Oscars. So thank
maybe
you.
Maybe if the ratings weren't good this year and there's a lot of backlash, they'll get out. I think like those girls were auditioning to be the host. Honestly,
Nope.
And maybe they'll call.
we need Tina
maybe
Fey and
they'll-
Amy Poehler.
Maybe they'll call Chris Rock and Steve Martin because that felt like a little flight audition too.
No, it did feel like a little bit of an audition, but they're a weird pair. I enjoyed them together, but they are a really weird pair. You gotta admit, they're weird.
They have very polarized senses of comedy, but it's kind of the same-ish because it's generational. But Chris Rock just kills me all the time.
Not for nothing, though.
the time.
I don't know who does his grooming. His mustache was a little fakakta. You gotta admit, his mustache was like really a little weird. I don't know. Watch it again. Go look at the clips. His mustache was a little weird. That's how I'm gonna leave this because we actually have to wrap up. Wait, what was I saying?
Done already? Oh my God, this
We're
was
done
so much fun. It went so fast.
It
And
did.
there's so much we didn't cover.
I know. You have to call in again. I love you so much, and you're so much fun.
Oh,
and
thank
I'm
you
so
for
glad-
having me.
Thank you for
This
coming.
was fun.
Indeed, and thank you all for listening. Today we had my good buddy HRH.
And
Princess
Frosty,
Diandra,
if you're
and
listening, invite me to your show.
I'm going to work on Frosty. We are going to listen.
I'm sorry.
Frost-
Miss Ross?
Miss
If you're
Ross,
listening.
we're gonna get her from the win, and we're gonna get her here at Hot 702.5 FM, and I'm personally gonna broker some kind of a truce here at the station.
Well, I'm not fighting with her. She's fighting with me.
Well, we're gonna work it out. But thank you so much for coming. Thank you all for listening.
Oh,
You're
thank
listening
you
to-
for having me. Thank you for
Absolutely.
listening.
Absolutely, you're listening to Showtime with Jordan Van Haslow and friends. We'll see you next Monday at 5 o'clock here on Hot 702.5 FM. Thanks so much. Have a good night.